Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 163 of Tech It Out. Hope you're having a great week so far. It was a busy one for me and most of the tech world, I'd argue, with the big Apple event on Tuesday called Time Flies. As you might have expected, there were new Apple Watches that debuted, as well as new iPads and some new services as well. No iPhone until next month, but impressive gear nonetheless, especially the new Apple Watch Series 6, as it's called. Now, one thing Apple was rumored to show, but didn't, was its Bluetooth trackers to find your lost stuff. Well, this hour, we're going to talk with another company that does this. They're called Chipolo. They have these kinds of little colorful trackers. Also, on this program, is Elon Musk bipolar? Well, a Beverly Hills psychiatrist believes that he is, and it might be the reason why he's so motivated to do big things with one of his controversial companies, as you'll hear about soon. We're also going to talk about saving the lives of babies accidentally left in hot vehicles. It's a horrible thing. So in a moment, we're going to learn about a potential solution to forgotten baby syndrome. So we have a packed Tech It Out show for you this hour, and this program is powered by ASUS, which I'll tell you more about shortly, but let's kick things off. It's always tragic when you hear about a child dying in the back of a car. I recall reading that almost 40 children a year die from heat stroke after being left in a vehicle. It's particularly awful because it's preventable. And so joining us on the line to talk about a potential solution called eClip is Michael Brownold. He is the CEO of LFO, and he's here to discuss eClip technology. Welcome to the program, Michael.
Thank you very much. Pleasure being here.
So before we talk about eClip, please tell us a bit about the company LFO Inc.
Sure. So LFO Inc. is an American company. It's a private company, and we established it, myself and my partner, about 4 years ago, really focusing on what I would call wellness gadgets or devices that could be helpful to any member of the family, and specifically focused on improving, in general, healthy living. And in addition to that, we developed a number of products, which I'm sure we'll talk about, specifically focusing on I would call baby wellness and baby safety. And one of the items, which you mentioned previously, is an item called eClip.
All right, so let's get to that. So it's been said good technology solves a problem. I did sort of allude to that in my introduction, but what problem specifically does eClip address?
Okay, well, you mentioned clearly early on that this phenomena of, unfortunately, babies or children being forgotten or left in a car. And you mentioned that 40 children die per year. The unfortunate reality is probably close to 50, certainly in the last few years. In fact, if we look at statistics, and they don't lie in terms of the numbers, if we look over the last 20 years, close to 900 children have died, mostly unnecessarily, for being forgotten or left in a car where the parent or caregiver has exited the vehicle. Now, if we look at the numbers in more detail, the last 5 years have been the worst out of the last 20 years. And in fact, the last 2 years, apart from this year, which has been different, have been the worst of all the years. So it's a problem that if you ask, or if your viewers who are listening today have heard about, it's something that people are aware of, but there doesn't seem to be a solution. In other words, the problem is getting worse. So we wanted to look at this to see how we could apply some technology that we developed to specifically address this issue of trying to help prevent parents or caregivers forgetting unintentionally their child or their baby in the back of the car when they exit the vehicle.
Okay, because I know some vehicle makers, some car makers now have a solution, but it's tied to a particular model. But eClip, I think, is a little bit more universal. Can you explain what it is and how it works?
Certainly. As you mentioned, eClip is universal. It's independent. So in other words, it could be used and fitted in any car. It's very simple to use. It's very inexpensive. So in that respect, we're not tied to any car company, any particular car seat. So anybody or any parent or caregiver can purchase this and use it to help these events from occurring. What it actually does, it's a very clever device. It's a small electronic clip. That's why we call it eClip, that sits in the back of the car, which is connected to your smartphone. And on the smartphone itself is a unique eClip app, which essentially connects the eClip device from the back of the car via Bluetooth to your smartphone app. And it indicates two things. First of all, it indicates A, that your child is in the back of the car because it's within a certain given distance. It also indicates the air temperature, or we call it the ambient temperature, around the child. Because in many cases, the passenger or any of us are sitting in the front of the vehicle and we have the AC on and it's very comfortable, but the temperature of the back of the car is either higher or lower depending on the season. And the app will also indicate how comfortable it is or otherwise for your baby, so you can adjust their clothing or adjust the air accordingly. But the main application is, in fact, when you leave the car. And it's unfortunate to say this, but in reality, you tend to take your phone and your keys with you when you leave a car. If you leave the car and you move approximately 25 feet away from the car, an audio and alert will go off on your phone through the app, asking you to check whether, in fact, you've removed the baby or the child from the car. And it will alert you even if you're in the middle of a phone call or you're on social media or whatever on the phone itself. It will break into whatever communication which is currently running on the phone at the time. And this in itself, just the reminder to check whether in fact you've taken the baby out of the car, we believe could help prevent these tragedies from occurring.
Could you elaborate, Michael, on how eClip knows there's a child in the back of the car? Because we don't always have one with us. We may be performing errands and leaving the kids at home. Is it a motion sensor?
Now, what it is, you actually, once you put the child in the car, there's a button you press, a very small button you press on the eClip device itself, which automatically sends a signal to the app and essentially tells you that the eClip is active per se when you have the child in the car. And the reason we're doing it this way is because, as you mentioned, not on every journey do you have a child in the car. So there is an interaction required by the parent or caregiver at this stage with this version of the device. And in a way, it once again reminds you that, in fact, you're carrying precious cargo in the car. In other words, you have your child in the car. And of course, the app itself is on the phone itself. You can have it in background mode. You can have it as your home screen, depending on how you normally operate your smartphone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess my concern, though, is that if you forget you have the child in the car because you're distracted, you're preoccupied, you're in a rush, whatever the reason, you might also forget to press that button on the eClip when you first place the child in the vehicle, right? So I know I know there's no perfect solution, but it would be great if it sensed that there was a
Sure. Well, what we've done to try and alleviate that is the actual eClip itself is a mechanism that you can strap it onto the actual belt or the strap within the car seat itself. It obviously doesn't affect the effectivity of the car seat, but it means that when you're putting the child in the car seat itself and you're essentially locking the straps, it's in front of you to turn on. So in other words, the same way as you're locking the baby inside the car seat, you're actually turning on the eClip at the same time.
We're chatting with Michael Brownold. He's the CEO of Elifo Inc. They're the company behind the eClip device that's meant to combat forgotten baby syndrome, where children every year die from heat stroke, usually by being left in a vehicle, not to mention pets as well, by the way. Could you walk us through how it's set up and what phones it works with?
Sure. First of all, it's phone independent. In other words, the app is both Android and iOS compatible. As we mentioned earlier in this conversation, you turn it on. As you turn it on, the app recognizes the presence and the signal from the eClip, and it'll automatically start operating, as in from the phone itself. If you look at the statistics in terms of who actually leaves their kid in the car, it's a terrible thing to actually think about. But the reality is, this can happen to good, loving parents. And if you look at those 50 or 60 cases a year, and if you analyze the 900 over the last 20 years or something, the statistics are amazing in terms of that the profile of the people who this has occurred to, and of course it ruins people's lives. It's not only tragic because obviously the baby can die, but it actually ruins the family lives, and of course that has a knock-on effect. But the reality is it's happening continuously to good, loving parents, people like you and me. And in that respect, one of the aspects we think is so important about this product, irrespective if you buy it or not, is that it increases awareness that you should be paying attention, in fact, if you've got the child in the back of the car. And that's one of the core problems that we're all facing, because we're all busy. We're all totally consumed and occupied, be it with a smartphone or our lives, and we're busy all the time. And especially, I mean, everybody relates to this. You're sitting in the car, you get a phone call, you're on a conference call with work, you're checking some urgent matter, and basically everything else doesn't matter because you block everything else out. And if you remember, a baby in the back of the car is not exactly communicating with you if they're asleep. So it's relatively easy, unfortunately, to basically forget you're carrying such a precious cargo.
Yeah. All right, Michael, why don't we wrap up on the price? So eClip is available now.
First of all, you can go to our website. That's www.elipho, that's ELEPHO.com. And everything is written there about the product itself. You can purchase the product there. The product's also available on Amazon as well. It's available also through various online sites, Walmart, Buy Buy Baby, places like this. It is now available, and the price itself, its retail price is approximately $49.
Okay, elipho.com, ELEPHO.com. It's also available at Amazon, about $49, and it's called eClip, ECLIP. And Michael Brownold has been our guest. Thank you so much for your time and for, again, raising awareness about this tragic syndrome and some technology that may be able to help. So thank you again.
My pleasure, Mark. Thank you for having me.
When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with celebrity psychiatrist Dr. Lieberman about Elon Musk. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay with us.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS. For those in search of incredible, ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. If you haven't yet heard the news, Elon Musk, celebrated inventor, entrepreneur, and by all accounts, the world's third richest person now, he founded a controversial company a couple of years ago called Neuralink. It's developing an implantable brain-machine interface, or BMI. But not everyone is buying the hype. And that includes Beverly Hills-based psychiatrist Dr. Carole Lieberman, who is also an award-winning and best-selling author. And she has appeared on Oprah, The Today Show, Good Morning America, and many others. And she joins us today. Dr. Lieberman, thank you so much for your time. How are you?
Well, thank you. I'm fine, thank you.
Now, before we talk about Elon Musk's Neuralink initiative, please tell us a bit about yourself and your practice.
Well, as you said, I'm a Beverly Hills psychiatrist, and I also do a lot of other things. I'm a forensic psychiatrist, an expert witness in all kinds of court cases, and I'm an author. I have won a number of awards for my books. My latest book is Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, Oh My, How to Protect Your Child in a Time of Terror. And I also go by the moniker, the terrorist therapist, because after 9/11, I decided to devote a lot of my work to helping people not only deal with the memories of 9/11, which, by the way, are still affecting us in lots of different ways, but also living in a time of terror where there are still terrorists out there.
I know your website is terroristtherapist.com for those who want to check it out while they're listening to this interview, perhaps. So Elon Musk has an ambitious vision for, again, what we call BMI or brain-machine interfaces. What is his company, Neuralink, trying to do?
He has come up with the idea. Now, let me just first preface this by saying we know that he's a very creative and intelligent man, a genius, Tesla. But this idea, I think, has gone a little too far. And it comes out of his desire, or his fear, really, his paranoia, in my opinion, about AI, artificial intelligence, taking over the world within 5 years. And so this came out of his idea that unless we develop some way to combine ourselves with machines, with artificial intelligence, that we are going to be overrun by them.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly. That is his the motto of his company. And it has to do with boring a hole into our skulls and putting in a brain chip, and then having a robot connect the threads from the brain chip actually into our brain, and visualizing it first to try to be able to avoid the blood vessels. Now, first of all, any kind of brain surgery is very dangerous. And he compares this to, he wants it to be as easy as LASIK surgery. But it's a far cry from that because, yes, our eyes are very important and delicate and so on as well. But this is even more delicate, and a lot more can go wrong.
So I would argue that with every generation of humans over the past couple of decades, we've increasingly been adding more tech to our bodies, whether it's something that we are implanting, like what Elon Musk wants to do, or currently today we've got artificial hearts and so on, or it's things that are worn, like hearing aids. It's meant to augment our bodies, right? Wouldn't you think that this is just the next stage in the evolution of this man and machine hybrid?
Well, yes, you could say that, which could be looked upon as either a great advantage or something really scary. That it's hearing aids are one thing, because that is trying to help something that has a problem, that we're having a problem with.
Sure.
But and yes, Elon Musk does tout this as something to help brain problems, from paralysis, paraplegia, to Parkinson's, to dementia, to, all kinds of brain diseases. But what he's hiding, and this is the part that interests me most as a psychiatrist, what I think consciously or unconsciously his motive really is to help himself, because he talks about how this brain chip can help us with our moods, to make us feel less depressed or less anxious. I believe that this comes from, and I have never examined him personally, but from all that I have seen and read of him, including I watched his whole reveal, his whole demonstration recently. I think that he has bipolar disorder, and he has even tweeted out something about his highs and lows, and then he was asked whether he might be bipolar, and at first he said yes, and then he kind of backpedaled and said, well, I don't know about it medically, but I think a lot of his volatility and the problems in his personal life could be well attributed to, as well as his creativity, and his thinking outside the box could be attributed to a hypomanic kind of way of thinking. And so if this brain chip helps people who are depressed get less depressed, then I think that is really a big part of what spurred him on.
All right, please hold that thought. Dr. Carole Lieberman is our guest. We're going to continue chatting a lot more about this when we return. Very fascinating. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. Stick with us. We'll be right back with a lot more.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Dr. Carole Lieberman, a psychiatrist based in Beverly Hills, who is, admittedly from a distance, psychoanalyzing Elon Musk and his desire to fuse man with machine with his company Neuralink, and how it might be tied to what Dr. Lieberman thinks is bipolar disorder or somewhere on the spectrum. Interesting. It's an interesting analysis. And even though you've conceded that you have not treated him or met him even in person, but from what you've seen of him and then gleaning some of the comments he's made, backpedaling aside, perhaps for the shareholders' sake, for his companies, that with your experience, you're suggesting that he may have bipolarism or what used to be called manic manic depression, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate for any other reason than just to have a healthy conversation with you about this. But I mean, he is a genius, regardless of his motivation for pushing society ahead. I mean, his work with PayPal, then Tesla, and then SpaceX, and then Hyperloop. If that is the case, that he consciously or subconsciously is addressing mood and emotion and tying to his own perhaps challenges, regardless of the reason, maybe that doesn't take away from the merit.
Well, it does in regard to, it may eventually be able to fix Parkinson's or something like that. But in terms of mood or anxiety or other psychological issues, you cannot do that with a brain chip. I mean, even psychiatric medication, which is essentially trying to do the same thing, there is still not a clear understanding of what a lot of these medications are doing. There is a general kind of sense of what they're doing.
Right.
There's certainly a lot of research, but even that, and the real truth is that in order for a patient who is depressed or is anxious or has any other kind of psychological dysfunction, what they need, medication is only a Band-Aid. That is not the solution, the cure. The cure is psychotherapy to get back into the person's childhood or earlier life.
The root cause of some of these things.
Exactly. So even if, the brain chip worked perfectly in terms of hormones and neurons and so on, you could not get back to, the brain chip is not going to be Freud.
Got it. So your MO here is just to say to audiences, don't get too excited about this because it may not be the silver bullet to fixing mental conditions and disorders. You can be excited about this if it doesn't creep you out, because it's not for everyone, but don't put too much faith in what Elon Musk is saying about this technology is what your takeaway might be.
Yes, that and more. I'm saying there are lots of dangers. I mentioned the one about brain damage from the surgery, but even more. There is, just like ATMs or cars can be, any kind of computer can be hacked. This brain chip connects to a computer. That's the goal. And so people can be hacked and made to do all kinds of things like murdering other people.
In theory, yes. I hear what you're saying. If once you start adding a connected machine over the internet, there's always malicious types out there that want to exploit these vulnerabilities in a smart car or in a smarter human. So we should also be concerned about that. Got it.
Yes. Now I know that you are given by the name of the show, you are obviously a big tech proponent.
But I get it. I'll tell you, Dr. Lieberman, that I was at a speech about cybersecurity, by the way, about 5 years ago, and I shook someone's hand and I met them, and we agreed to exchange contact information. So I pulled out my phone, and he said, "Oh, just tap your phone on my hand. I have a chip in it that will give it was like a digital business card that popped up on my phone through NFC technology." And I was like, wow, I'm not quite ready for that. But, I think over time, we're going to go from using computers. We went from stationary computing where you had to walk somewhere to sit down and go on a computer to mobile computing with laptops and then smartphones and tablets and so on, to wearing your computer on your wrist or maybe smart glasses so we're going to go, I believe, from wearable to embeddable. And that is the natural flow of things, not for everyone. And there's always going to be downsides to every step along the way. And that is scary to have to think about it. So, but just because I call myself a technology evangelist, someone who preaches about the benefits of technology, I'm the first to admit there are many concerns surrounding this.
Well, I'm sure you know then that there are people who say, who believe in conspiracy theories about tech and who say that this encroaching little by little, hearing aids to watches, computer watches to all these things that the business card, all of these things, that this has been done to make us gradually comfortable with the idea of getting technology closer and closer to us, wearing, and then the next thing would be something like the brain chip. and that this conspiracy is so that we can ultimately be controlled by people who want to rule the world.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And there might be, and that's the problem with, your website is terrorist therapist. I've often said that you take a bunch of terrorists and now it justifies governments installing cameras and microphones everywhere in the name of national defense. But it's a slippery slope because then then it's surveillance, right? So I hear you. And I'm not saying it's a perfect solution. I just wanted to challenge you on a few things, but I respect your professional opinion, no less. And I want to thank you so much for your time. Again, your website is terroristtherapist.com. We've been chatting with Dr. Carole Lieberman about Elon Musk's controversial Neuralink company working on implantable tech for human brains. Along with books and TV appearances, Dr. Carole hosts 2 radio shows and podcasts. Again, her website, terroristtherapist.com, gives a nod to her book, Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, Oh My, How to Protect Your Child in a Time of Terror. Thank you so much, Dr. Carole. Great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Tech It Out, everyone. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. We just caught up with Dr. Carole Lieberman, and before that, we spoke with a company called Elifo about the e-clip in order to prevent forgotten baby syndrome. When we return on the program, we're going to talk Bluetooth trackers, but not with Apple, because they didn't announce their solution last week, as many had expected, and not with Tile, who you might know. They're kind of the leaders in this space, but with a scrappy startup called Chipolo. They've been around for a while, and they've got some competitive advantages to Tile. So we're going to learn about Bluetooth trackers and how it can be very easy to find your lost stuff, your car keys, your purse, your wallet, what have you. We're going to catch up with Chipolo after this short break. I would love to hear from you. If you've got suggestions for upcoming guests or topics, you can hit me up at tech@marksaltzman.com. That's TECH@MARCSALTZMAN.com. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Check it out. Hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Question for you. Do you ever lose anything? Of course you do. And for some of you, it's a daily thing. But thankfully, technology can help. We're going to now learn about a couple of new Bluetooth trackers on the market from Chipolo. Joining us on the line, all the way from Slovenia, is Spela Zagar. She is the content manager at Chipolo. Welcome to the show, Spela. How's your day going so far?
Hi, it's going great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for carving out some time to chat with us. Now, before we talk about some specific Bluetooth trackers out now, please tell us a bit about the company Chipolo, and it's CHIPOLO for our listeners out there.
Well, the Chipolo started actually as a passion project by a group of friends, and it was because one of them was always late because he couldn't find his keys or his wallet. And then when they started with the Chipolo, it turns out that a lot of people had the same problem, and when they were discussing it with their friends and family, a lot of people loved the idea. So in 2013, they set up a Kickstarter project, and it was a success. So the next step was the Chipolo startup. And then this kind of turned into an international company, and we're still going strong 7 years later.
All right, that's great. So with that in mind, now let's talk about the Chipolo One. That's the name of the product. What is it exactly?
The Chipolo One is a small, round Bluetooth key finder that you can attach to your keys. Most people attach it to their keys. And then you can connect it to your phone with the Chipolo app. And then when you can't find your keys, you can open the Chipolo app on your phone, and you can make the Chipolo on your keys ring, or you can check the last known location of your keys on a map in the Chipolo app. The battery on the Chipolo One will last up to 2 years, so you don't have to worry about that. And also it's replaceable. So when it runs out, you don't have to replace the whole key finder. You can just replace the battery yourself. And because it's a small coin battery, you can get it in almost any shop. The Chipolo One's also water resistant, and it's pretty loud. It has a 120 decibel ring, so you'll have no problem hearing it under a pile of clothes or from another room, let's say.
And how far can it work? I know Bluetooth, it depends on which version of Bluetooth.
Well, Bluetooth gets better every year, and thank God for that. So the connection also gets better every year. I think the maximum connection with the Chipolo is about 200 feet or 60 meters outside.
Wow.
But then if you go inside, it's actually pretty great. And then if you go inside, that kind of decreases because there's obstacles like walls and doors, other stuff in between. So in there, let's say about 30 meters would be a very good connection, strong connection.
So if you open up the Chipolo app and you tap to make the Chipolo One ring, then it's just an audible tone that you have to sort of follow. Is that right? I just want to clarify.
Yeah. It does show in the Chipolo app, you can see the Chipolo on a map, but because it's a Bluetooth connection, it's not an exact pinpoint location. So if you do want to find it, let's say you're already inside your house, but you're not sure in which room it is, then you make it ring and then you find it following the ring.
How difficult or easy is it to set up?
It's actually really easy to set up because the Chipolo app already comes with its instructions. So once you open the Chipolo app, you create an account. So we know that the Chipolo is only linked to you. And after that, it's just a few simple steps. You tap the plus on the Chipolo app, then you tap on the Chipolo, and they find each other to connect.
So even if you're not tech savvy, it should be pretty straightforward, like connecting any sort of Bluetooth device.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We try to make it as easy as possible so as many people as possible could use it because, it's not just the tech savvy people that lose their keys.
That is true. And how would you say the Chipolo One differs from other Bluetooth trackers? The one that I'm most intimate with, I guess, is the Tile family. So what are some of the key differentiators with the Chipolo One?
Both Tile and Chipolo trackers use Bluetooth to connect to the tracking app on your phone, but there are a few differences. Probably the most obvious one would be that the Chipolo is round while the Tile is square. And the Chipolo is available in a few different colors. It's red, blue, green, and yellow. And then there are features. We do have similar features. Let's say both of us offer the out of range alerts that remind you if you ever leave anything behind. And this feature is free with the Chipolo trackers, while Tile has a premium program where you pay a monthly fee, and then they offer this track alert feature and a few other features under that.
Yeah, I think I would say that that's probably one of the more impressive differentiators. So that means that if you accidentally leave your keys on a patio table, you're at a restaurant outside and you walk away before somebody else picks it up. So how would that work exactly? Do you hear the beep automatically, or does something happen on your app?
Well, the out-of-range alerts actually show a pop-up notification on your phone, and there's also a kind of a message tone, I guess, a small beep to let you know that you forgot your keys or your wallet behind. And what happens is that when the Chipolo loses its connection, the app actually waits about a minute or two to make sure that you're actually moving away from the Chipolo, that this is not just you moving around the house or closing a door. And when it's sure that you are forgetting something behind, it's going to pop up a notification on your phone.
What if you left your smartphone behind or you can't find your phone? I know Tile has, maybe not on all of their models, but the ability to press a button on the Tile to make your phone ring. So the other way around. Is that possible with Chipolo One?
Yeah, it is. That's actually the one that I use the most, and I can never find my phone. So what you do is you can pick up any Chipolo that is connected to your phone, and there's a button inside the Chipolo, and if you double click on the Chipolo, it will start your phone ringing.
All right. And then how much do the Chipolo ones cost?
The Chipolo one costs $25 and in Canada it is $29.99, and it's available at Best Buy online and in their stores across the country.
Okay. We'll continue chatting with Chipolo when we return on Tech It Out. We're going to learn about another product called the Chipolo Card. Stay with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Spela Zagar. She is the content manager at Chipolo. This is the company that makes some colorful Bluetooth trackers. We just learned about the Chipolo One, which is a very small disc-shaped device that you can connect to your car keys or maybe your backpack or something like that. Can you buy them in packs, like if you wanted to buy like 2 or 4?
You can buy them in a 4-pack, so 4 Chipolos, and there's also different combinations between the Chipolo One and the card. They're not all available in every store, but ones that we do offer is the duo, so 1 Chipolo One and 1 Chipolo card, and then the bundle for people who really lose a lot of their things. So that's 2 Chipolo Ones and a Chipolo card.
Now we're going to hear about the Chipolo card. It kind of implies the shape, but why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Well, like the name says, it's a card. It's a thin, white, rectangle version of the Chipolo tracker that can be used to track your wallet, your passport, basically anything with a flat surface. It has the same range as the Chipolo One, so the maximum range is 200 feet or 60 meters, and it is pretty loud because you do need to hear it from inside the wallet. With this one, the battery isn't replaceable. It's a custom-made battery to make sure that the Chipolo card is as thin as possible, so it fits in your wallet seamlessly, so you can't buy it in a shop. When the battery does run out, which is after about a year, you can buy a new one at half the price through our Renew and Recycle program, and then you can send your old card back to us free of charge for recycling.
Okay. So it's the shape of a credit card. Is it? Yeah. Is it? I'm assuming the dimensions, the width and height are similar to a credit card, but the depth is probably thicker.
Yeah, if you would stack 2 credit cards one on top of the other, that's actually how thick the Chipolo card is.
Okay, that gives us a good idea, since this is radio, on what the shape looks like for the Chipolo card. But the idea is that you just slip it in your wallet. And I'm assuming because it's not visible on a regular basis, the idea is that you want to slip it into your wallet, for example, or a passport. It doesn't have all the different colors because it's you don't really need all that because you're not really looking at it. Is that fair?
Yeah, we just kept it with the basic white.
Okay. Basic white for the Chipolo card. Same idea as the Chipolo One. Similar range. The app experience is the same as well?
Yeah, the app experience is the same for every Chipolo, actually. The newer models, so the Chipolo One and the Chipolo card, as well as the older models. Every feature that we mentioned and a few that we didn't, they all work with every Chipolo.
Can you, on the app, change the name of what it is you're trying to find? Like, can you write car keys or house keys or iPhone or whatever, and then that's like, can you customize that when you tap it?
Yeah, you can change the name of the Chipolo for each Chipolo. You can also, there's tiny little icons, so you can select a custom icon for each Chipolo. There's also a few different ringtones available, so you can decide between, I think it's 6 or 7 ringtones, so you can decide between different ringtones if you want each Chipolo to make their own sound.
Okay, cool. And then why don't we wrap up on price for the Chipolo card?
The Chipolo card is $30 US, and in Canada it's $39.99. And again, you can find it in Best Buy online and in their stores.
Okay, and then so that's a good website to go to. But there's also one for Chipolo that we should probably end off with.
Yeah,
is it? I think it's chipolo.net. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so CHIPOLO.net is the official website where you'll see all these products in action, as well as a couple of others. So there you go, Chipolo.net. We've been chatting with Svela Zagar. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I'm trying.
No, it's really good. Thank you.
All the best. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Tech It Out this hour. Hope you enjoyed the program and the several guests we had. This program, Tech It Out, is brought to you by ASUS, creating technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. ASUS, for those in search of incredible. Visit asus.com/US/radio for more info on all their laptops for back to school season. They are the Vivo books, which are sort of the everyday, very colorful, personalized kind of laptops. Then there's the Zen books, which are ASUS's cutting edge technology with things like the screen pad. That's an interactive touchscreen built into the mouse pad or trackpad. Very cool. Then there's Chromebooks, which of course run the Chrome OS operating system, great for students. And then Expert books, which are high-end, more business-grade laptops. So certainly a lot to check out at asus.com/US/radio. I also want to thank Western Digital for supporting this show with their WD SSDs, their amazing solid state drives for protecting all of your data, especially for those working and schooling from home. I wish everyone a safe and healthy week ahead. Be careful out there between the forest fires and bad air quality on the West Coast to the floods and hurricanes on the East Coast. Just have a safe and healthy week ahead. We'll chat with you next weekend, everyone. Bye-bye for now.